بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحييكم بعد البريك ونتكلم زي ما قلنا احنا just giving overview because in details that will be later. We just are tempting you. You will have to see how enjoyable biochemistry is. Details will follow. احنا قلنا انه glucose gets inside the cell and it's broken down until it becomes a structure called pyruvate. And why is that? It is to produce electrons out of it. So this is called oxidation. So we are oxidizing glucose. When we reach pyruvate, it's not the end of it, but pyruvate cannot continue until we have a mitochondria. If we have a mitochondria, pyruvate will get inside, and also pyruvate needs oxygen. If there is no oxygen, pyruvate will just go aside and become lactate. So lactate will be produced out of glucose if there is no oxygen. If there is oxygen, it will go into mitochondria, and through a lot of structures called Krebs cycle, it will produce again the final electrons out of glucose. After the Krebs cycle finish, we have all the electrons out. Now where does these electrons go? ما كنا عارفين وين الإلكترون هذه تروح وين ال ATP. We didn't know where the ATP is. Now we found. These electrons are picked up by carriers, structures, and I call them ونات. سيارة. الونات يجي يشيل هذه الإلكترونات. So it's a car. If we can say this is a car, and the car will carry these electrons. And also here, cars will carry these electrons. And we will follow them. We'll see where they're going. And we found out that these cars go to the inner mitochondrial membrane. If this is the outer and this is the inner membrane, there are certain reactions here whereby these electrons comes here and produce ATP. Again, details will be later. So the cars will come here. These are the cars which have electrons, and electrons comes to this compartment. There are complexes here. Actually, there's 4 complexes. We call them a pathway called oxidative phosphorylation pathway. And again, we will go into detail later. So ATP is produced. There's a lot of ATPs produced from one glucose. It depends on the number of these cars and the number of electrons. Details will follow. So in fact, it's 3 what we call major reactions that we finish by oxidation, producing all electrons out of glucose. If this is glucose, it's a ball. If this is glucose filled with electrons, I'm going to destruct it until I reach pyruvate. In fact, I have 2 pyruvates. This is one pyruvate, and there is another one pyruvate. So 2 out of this pyruvate. So one glucose into the other pyruvate. So in fact, these are the pyruvate. This is the glucose. Here is the glucose, and break down into 2 pyruvates. If there is no oxygen, these 2 pyruvates will become lactate. If there is oxygen, it will go inside and burn out as again called oxidation in the Krebs cycle that will all produce electrons. Electrons will be taken up by these cars, and these cars are called, they are coenzymes. They are called NAD and FAT. And then when they get electrons, they will become NADH and FATH. So these NADHs and FATHs will bring the electron to oxidative phosphorylation pathway, and then ATP is produced. So again, it is glycolysis, aerobic and anaerobic. Then aerobically, meaning we have to have oxygen for Krebs cycle, then oxidative phosphorylation pathway. And by this, we end up having ATP out of glucose, and glucose is over. Fructose and galactose again will come to this pathway of glycolysis and go to the Krebs cycle and produce ATP the same way. Now details, as we said, will follow. We'll stop here and we'll talk later how to feed in fat and protein to this. This is the skeleton of the metabolism inside this. As you have a skeleton in your body, carbohydrate skeleton is this. We'll show you after, in the last session now, diagrams, and we'll make it on the floor to look like a real cell, and hope you will enjoy it. And then after that we will stop here, and then we'll go later inshallah in our website for details of the details. So inshallah each exams, each whatever you have step after will be easy for you. Just follow us. Thank you very much.